Greetings, class. Today I want to talk to you about the difference between freedom and liberty. Obviously, we use these words interchangeably, but they do have different origins. Dr. Kerry Roberts, in his presentation, said that freedom comes from a Germanic root of it means neighborliness, and then liberty comes from Latin, and it has to do with rights and duties. So there is a difference. But looking at the ancient world and seeing liberty and freedom. I looked at Geoff Kennedy's article, and he discusses Cicero and the meaning of liberty, obviously looking at ancient Rome. And in Kennedy's article, he says that liberty is not universally or equally applied, but that those who contribute more will possess more political rights. So obviously his conception of liberty, talking about Cicero, is that liberty is tied to political rights. He also says that Roman liberty was an ordered thing, which contrasted against the masterlessness of Greek democracy. So if we look at the Greek concept of liberty or freedom, we're looking at Aristotle from Politics, Book 6. And Aristotle's opinion of liberty is that it's two parts. One part is that to have liberty, you have to be governed, but that you also govern in turn. And so Andrew Lintott, on a commentary of Aristotle, he says what this means is that all citizens participate regardless of the property they own. So it's not limited by wealth or property. And then the second part that Aristotle says that's necessary for liberty is to live as one likes. And Lintott says that this means within reason. And he also says that it has to do with the private life, that your private life is not rigidly managed or coerced into a social norm. And he gives Sparta as an example. And so Maura Walsh, she looks at Aristotle's concept of freedom, and she uses the term freedom, but she's using the term freedom in a lot of examples where Lintott was using liberty in that translation of Aristotle. Obviously, if the word liberty comes from Rome, Aristotle wouldn't have used that word. He had his own word. And so the issue comes with translating deeper meanings. Now, Walsh does say that Aristotle's freedom, she defines it as the capacity to direct one's own self to those ends which one's own reason rightly recognizes as choice-worthy. Now, speaking of ideas lost in translation with words, Anna Wiersbicka, and if I said her name wrong, I'm sorry, but she studies the origins of both these words and their place in cultures throughout time. And she argues that the English definition of freedom is much different from other languages, that when our meaning of freedom tries to translate into another language, something gets lost, that there are non-technical characteristics of that word in the English language. And she also says this applies to the words justice and truth. But her explanation goes along with Isaiah Berlin's idea of positive and negative freedom. And what she says is that liberty is the positive freedom. Liberty is the ability to do things. She says freedom has been used historically as the negative freedom. So I don't have to do something. So liberty is the positive. I have the ability to do it. Freedom is the negative. I don't have to do it. Through all of this, my personal understanding from what we've studied in the ancient world, my own understanding is that liberty is directly connected to our laws and our place in government. I have liberty because I am equal under the law and because I participate in the election process. Freedom, from my understanding, is personal and even metaphysical. I can believe in my heart what I want to believe, and nobody can take that from me, not a man, not a government. What I believe is my belief, therefore I have the freedom to believe it. Nobody can take it from me. I believe neither one of these should be thrown out. I believe that liberty and freedom in both meanings are crucial to our values as a Western civilization. I once heard a man say that there's two things that make someone a citizen and not a subject, and that's the right to vote and the right to bear arms. And I feel like that sentence sort of applies to what we're talking about here. Um, Liberty being our place in society and our government, freedom being who we are in our own hearts and minds. Thank you.